Archives of Prasar Bharati presents the timeless treasure of golden era.
Hello and welcome to Living on the Edge. This week we travel to the Chilika Lake in Odisha to see why it's dying a slow and painful death. We unveil plans to convert one of Asia's largest garbage dumps into a science city in Calcutta and ask why a 5-year-old Supreme Court order to make environmental education compulsory hasn't been complied with. Despite being demarcated as a World Heritage Site in 1972, a life support system for over 1 lakh fishermen, and a resting spot for thousands of migratory birds, the Chilika Lake survival is seriously in question. The greatest threats come from siltation, overfishing and illegal prawn culture. Sunil Manoharan reports.
This unique lake has sustained millions of fishermen over the centuries. By striking a balance between sustainability and profit, there was no reason why coming generations couldn't have managed as their forefathers did. But today the age-old link between the fishermen and the lake is being broken. Illegal prawn farms are irredeemably altering the delicate balance that allows an ecosystem to sustain itself. Take this illegal farm for example. It has been set up contrary to all government guidelines by building embankments in a portion of the lake. During the monsoon, when the water level rises, a prawn farm begins operation. Intensive exploitation implies the liberal use of chemical inputs and pumping of untreated effluents into the lake. This doesn't worry those who own these farms. Their profits far outweigh environmental concerns. But for ordinary fishermen, prawn culture implies a reduced catch, falling profits and a threat to their livelihood.
तो 5 किलो 10 किलो ऐसे पकड़ते हैं और पहला कितना पकड़ते हैं पहला 30 किलो 40 किलो 50 किलो ऐसे कम ऐसा क्यों कम क्यों हो गया क्यों रिंग चिंगड़ी चाष बना दिया सब फील्ड बना कर सब घेरा बना दिया.
If you're wondering what prawn farms earn, it depends on the size of the farm and the scale of the operations. Profits are set to double every year. And because prawn culture renders the area non-productive in about 6 years, profiteers are content to make a fast buck when the going is good.
How many acres of land is this?
This is 25 acres.
25 acres. It's got leased from the government.
No. These people they are having own land.
For what area have the owners bought the land? What is the?
I don't know all those things. I don't know. They are having their own properties.
And the pollution control equipment, where is it? Is that set up?
All those things I don't know.
Answers such as these only reveal a complete lack of accountability. This is surprising considering that the survival of tens of thousands of fishermen is inextricably linked to this lake. And what makes all this worse is that the central government is committed under an international agreement, the Ramsar Convention of 1982, to protect Chilika in all its natural splendor.
Each government that's a member of the convention and joins after discussing it in its National Assembly, each country accepts a number of obligations, and among those are to list a wetland in its territory for the list of wetlands of international importance.
Chilika is not only the biggest wetland on the subcontinent, attracting huge numbers of waterfowl, but it is also listed internationally as a site comparable to Bharatpur. And yet the authorities have permitted what was once a 1,000 square kilometer lake to shrink to a fraction of its former size. Deforestation upstream of rivers that feed Chilka causes huge quantities of silt to be deposited in the fall. Siltation also blocks the mouth of the Chilka that opens to the sea.
चिलिका जो होता है जो समुद्र का रास्ता जो होता ना रास्ता में अभी पानी नहीं आता है समुद्र का पानी चिलिका में नहीं अंदर में नहीं घुसता है इसलिए मछली जाल भी नहीं आता कुछ भी नहीं आता.
The inflow of saline water is also reduced, which means that species that could survive on salt water are now slowly disappearing. The cycle is unending and destructive of the entire ecosystem. Today, parts of the lake are only 50 centimeters deep, making fish spawning virtually impossible. Besides, illegal catching of juvenile fish for prawn farms prevents effective breeding.
जो पानी आता है चिंगड़ी समुद्र से निकल के यहाँ से पकड़ के ले जाते हैं रिंग बंद बनाकर चिंगड़ी सब बड़ा बनाकर मारते हैं हजार रुपया ऐसे कमाता है हम लोग बस चिलिका में जाल पकते हैं कुछ नहीं.
To add to the tale of woe of the poorer fishermen, outsiders have descended on the area to capture the tiger prawns as they fetch huge profits. Overfishing has had predictable consequences, reducing the annual catch from 9,000 to 6,000 tons over the past decade. The per hectare catch for fishermen has reduced from 12 kgs to 7 kgs.
अभी मछली अभी 5-6 आदमी घर से रहने से 1 किलो आधा किलो मिलता नहीं मछली कभी बुखार होता है कभी खाना पीना मिलता है कोई इससे तकलीफ ही आदमी चलते हैं.
And yet the state government, which held office till recently, didn't think twice before allotting 600 hectares of prime lake area to the Tatars for their shrimp project. The public outcry that followed and the launch of the Chilka Bachao Andolan effectively shelved such plans.
I am carrying on a movement creating an awareness among the coastal people that ultimately prawn culture will destroy not only the ecology of the coast but also the livelihood of agriculturists and fishermen on the coast.
Mr. Banke Bihari Das may have been successful in stopping the Tata project, but he has been unable to prevent the mushrooming of dozens of illegal prawn farms in the area. Ironically, a mega project which would have had catastrophic environmental consequences has been replaced by several small farms which are alive and well. The cumulative results will be the same as that of the earlier venture. Living on the Edge was unable to put all this to the people's representatives in Bhubaneswar because the new government is yet to formulate its policies on the lake. When they do, they will find that the health and well-being of Chilka cannot be viewed in isolation from the prawn farms, because it is the farms that have accelerated the destruction of the lake. Prawn cultivation all over the world, though profitable in the short run, has been responsible for destroying entire ecosystems and the livelihood of lakhs of people. These farms may be a huge source of money today, but in about 5 years the area they occupy will be wasteland, as it would have been milked dry. That perhaps is of little consequence to the owners, who would have more than made up their investment. But what will happen to the fishermen and their families, who depend on the lake, and to the waterfowl who can't find enough food in Asia's largest saline wetland anymore? Overfishing and deforestation are sounding the death knell of Chilka. And, as things stand today, the days of the lake are numbered.
It's going to be built on one of the largest garbage dumps in Asia. It's going to attract lakhs of tourists each year and could become an incredible example of urban conservation. And yet environmentalists in Calcutta are afraid that the right thing is being done for the wrong reasons and that it could have disastrous consequences. If you're still wondering what I'm talking about, watch Priya Somaya's story and find out for yourself.
Since the beginning of this century, scores of trucks have been making their way to this dump in East Calcutta, carrying hundreds of tons of garbage every day. Almost every Calcuttan describes with disgust the stench passers-by are subjected to. And it's not just your sense of smell that revolts. The garbage dump is also an eyesore that has been the bane of urban planners for almost a century now. But the dump's days are numbered. This unlikely spot is slowly being subjected to an almost incredible transformation. Although you may not believe it, this is where Calcutta's new and exciting science city is going to come up. Land reclamation is in full swing, construction has already begun, and the changes are already visible.
When we entered here into this plot of land, one had to use a gas mask. One had to use a knee-high gumboot. Otherwise, you could not enter into this land. Now you find here beautiful plants, flowers, butterflies, birds.
Slowly, the face of the land is changing. Fish swim and breed in this pond, which was once choked with effluents from the tanneries. Plantations and landscaped gardens will soon replace the expanse of waste as the science city becomes a reality. And if you're wondering what the city promises, planners say it will offer a spectacular look at science, technology, and the environment. By taking you back to the age of dinosaurs, recreating the Sundarbans, developing nature trails, and allowing you to experience what futuristic space travel will be like, the park hopes to attract 10 million visitors each year. But there is a flip side to all of this that has got many people worried. The congestion the science city will engender may be overwhelming, given the number of people likely to visit. Besides, the site in question is very close to Calcutta's wetlands, which play a crucial role in recycling the city's sewage.
As such, no one would have anything against the science city, but what they are protesting against is about the location of the science city in a very vital area, which is the waste recycling system of the city.
This sounds very funny. It's a very funny argument to me. Number one, that the land on which the science city is coming up was not a wetland. Let us try to understand. We have not filled up any wetland over here. This has been a garbage land, stinky and muddy. What we are doing, we are creating wetland here.
There is one department of a central government department converting part of the garbage dump into a science city. Now there is another state government department saying that it's converting something else into a film institute. But all these areas will be visited by hundreds and thousands of people in the future. So, you can't look at the entire region as specific individual projects. You've got to look at it in its entirety.
By now you may be wondering whether the science city that seemed such a good idea is still such a good one. Perhaps one critical question is the impact of increased congestion in the area. To what extent will heightened noise and air pollution affect the nearby wetlands? City plan documents is said to have clearly stated that development on the eastern fringe of Calcutta should never be allowed. Opponents of the project feel that an environment impact study was never done.
All the papers are open and let them see what was the quality of air, ground and water before we started the work, and then what is the quality now today in the area that we have developed.
That particular kind of environment impact assessment is not enough. You've got to assess what will happen to the wetlands in the future if projects like these get sanctioned in these areas.
Independent analysts are also concerned about the dangers of building over garbage that is still naturally decomposing. Many Western countries have found that reclamation of dumps is not as easy as it seems. Methane and other noxious gases escape from underground with worrying consequences for people in the vicinity. Even fires are known to have occurred. Besides, toxins may seep into groundwater, making it dangerous for consumption. But planners feel that by covering 80% of the area with plantations, the danger of escaping gases can be neutralized. And they say adequate precautions have already been made to ensure a clean water supply.
We checked the groundwater quality and found that at the level from where we are taking water 350 feet down, and there the water quality is excellent, very good. The garbage goes only up to 20 feet.
Much of the debate generated so far is merely academic because construction of the science city is continuing and it is set to become a reality. Whether its existence will adversely affect the nearby wetland and increase congestion substantially is difficult to say. Time perhaps will provide the best indicator. After all, it is a difficult choice. A science city built over a garbage dump at the edge of the city, or a science city located somewhere else with its own environmental consequences.
Many of the letters we receive each week are from school-going children who feel strongly about the issues raised in this program. Here's a letter from a younger viewer. I can't read the name because it isn't clearly written, but that doesn't take away from the importance of the letter. Is not man stupid? If you want ivory or rhino horn, why kill the animal? Sedate him with a dart gun, saw off the tusk or horn peacefully, give the poor animal necessary antibiotics and care to combat infection, and you have your cake and environment. You can eat it too and get profit from ivory and rhino horn. These beasts are herbivorous and their only enemy is man. However, don't take away the tiger's claws or the snake's fangs, as it is their means of survival. Besides, snakes eat rats. Sensible advice from a young mind. I don't know how many poachers are watching though. It was to sensitize the younger generation that the Supreme Court ordered the introduction of compulsory environmental education in schools. 5 years later, that is far from becoming a reality. Tisha Srivastav reports, using Asta, a young student, as a narrator.
On November 22, 1991, the Supreme Court ordered every state government and every education board to begin compulsory environmental education in a graded way immediately, right up to matriculation or even intermediate college level. This was to be effective from the next academic year.
Before this landmark ruling, we had some disjointed inputs in the name of environmental education, essays and painting competitions and nature trips.
We do have environmental studies classes. We have it up to class 3. It gets them to be outside with nature. They realize about their immediate surroundings.
Besides this, there was that extra chapter in a biology textbook and some socially useful productive work. So if this is what environmental studies were, it's no wonder then.
My awareness of the environment I would attribute it purely to the media. Whatever biology, a few chapters on ecology or something probably, but nothing about how man and your way you relate to environment.
How has this scene changed now that a good 3 years and 4 months have passed since the ruling?
I am personally not aware of this ruling, but I think in India we are placing a great deal of importance to environmental education.
We have integrated it in different subjects. The Supreme Court in its wisdom never directed us to make it a separate subject at the school stage.
As far as this ruling is concerned, this order is concerned, it is quite clear, and environment is a compulsory subject.
That is academically not possible.
They can't say that one chapter has been introduced in chemistry or in biology and this is a sufficient requirement. It means that they are deliberately not introducing the subject and they are making a contempt of court.
Has nothing been done? There are clearly 3 reasons why the authorities are not keen on introducing environmental studies as a separate subject. The first one is the traditional excuse given for everything, that is, in a country where 1/2 of all children in the 6 to 14 years category do not enter school at all or drop out. Do we have the resources for this added infrastructural burden? Secondly, given our over-studious and impractical approach in general, where environmental studies has become another boring period. And finally, and most importantly, what will the environmental studies syllabus be? After all, it is okay to tell us not to pluck a flower, but it's quite another thing to encourage us to study the Narmada Dam and its implication. What these authorities fail to realize is that as future citizens, the choice between living it up and living on the edge will be ours. the responsibility to put all the issues in perspective is clearly theirs.
They are playing in the hands of industrialists, or they are playing in the hands of polluters. They only know how to breathe, that's all. And it means that a time will come that they will not breathe.
As a student poet puts it, UV rays and the ozone layer wasn't because they were in the air. He was against the CFC. Didn't it leak out from his own AC? If allowed to raise such questions in environment classes, we will be able to contribute not just to environmental problems but to environmental solutions.
These views are a reflection of what large numbers of young students across the country feel, and until the authorities take cognizance of a court order passed almost 4 years ago and introduce meaningful environmental education, a whole generation's contribution to conservation may be lost.
The Amazon rainforests in Brazil are being cleared at the rate of 40,500 hectares a day to create pastures for beef cattle exported to the US.